introduce a little on how we will how what you all have put into the information form. So most people are subscribed to this webinar, and I thought it would be interesting to show you some of the or two of the graphs, because now you cannot really look around in the room and see what's who is there and what kind of people are there. So let me first go to that slide. So my name is Vera Jansen. I'm a program officer at NWO. And this is the image that we chose for the KIC Technologies call. And this call is is relatively broad, so it covers all the key technologies that somehow will help us in the Netherlands to solve the most important missions that are stated by the government. So it means that you will, as a participant in this call, contribute to societal challenges. And that is very important for key technologies. So now some information on who you are. So as you can see, I made a small graph of all the participants and the different key technologies that you are interested in. I saw a lot of you had interest in more than one key technology, which is very nice to make it more multidisciplinary, which is also sometimes a part of this call. So all key technologies are actually present, which is very nice because, of course, they all matter and they're all important in the framework of solving all these challenges. And then the next, for the next thing we asked you is what your affiliation is. And for this, I can show you the following graph, the last graph, where you can see that many of the participants that subscribed until Thursday, when I made these figures, are from technical universities or general universities. Also quite some people from medical centers, some people from industry as well, and some people from universities of applied sciences, so HBO's in the Netherlands, which is also a part of this call. So let me next go to the organization of this, this meeting. First is something we have to tell you always when we do this, is we will record this meeting and we will share it later for people who couldn't call in today. We will not share any personal information. It might be that if you, as we will go later into how the questions are handled, if you put your name there, we can call your name. If you don't want that, you can just write down that you would like to stay anonymous and we will take care of that. But in principle, no personal information is shared by recording this. The next thing is about questions. So we will have a few speakers, which I will go into when I discuss the program. And for any questions that you might have for the speaker or in general, you can put them in the chat. And then we have Tycho Sonnemans behind the computer to select those questions, and he will send them to me. And then when we've had two presentations, we will have a question round. And then the selected questions will be discussed here on stage. So we cannot have you, or we will not let you call in, but to make it a bit more smoothly and faster, we will just discuss it from the chat. So please put questions in the chat. And then the final thing, it's interesting to, if you let us know who you are, especially if you ask questions, because then we can show where the question comes from. And on the other hand, if we do not have time to answer all the questions here on stage, we will be able to get back to you by email to answer your questions. So then we can get back to you and give you the answer you were waiting for. So, and then next we will go into the program, which will be shown now here. So we're now in the introduction, which I'm giving. And then the next part is the introduction to the Knowledge and Innovation Covenant of the Netherlands, where this call is an important part of. This will be presented by Maarten de Zwart. He's also at NWO. And then there will be a presentation by Bram Borkert, who is also at NWO and together with me is doing all organizational aspects of this call. So he will get into the details about that. And after this round, there will be some time to discuss questions that came into the chat. So please also let us know if you have questions from these presentations. And then next, in the second part, so we will try to have a small mini break of 5 minutes. And in the second part, we will discuss the Herma van Kranenburg. She is from the top sector HTSM and coordinating the KIC technologies. And she will be discussing the appropriateness step of this call, which is of course an important part of the call because you will have to get an appropriateness statement. This is handled by the KIA, so she will present that. And then after that, Roald van der Poel will discuss knowledge utilization and the role in the pre-proposals. So that is the program, and after that there will be another round of questions. So for this you can again put your questions in the email or in the chat. So let's get started with the first part of this session, which is Maarten de Zwart. I will give him the floor now. So most of the people are actually presenting from the NWO office in Utrecht. Like I am, only Herma will be calling in from home because she couldn't make it here today. So the floor is yours, Maarten, and thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you, Vera.
We'll get you that.
Yes, thank you. So, good afternoon to you all. Welcome to this webinar. And like Vera announced, I will be giving you a short introduction during the next 10 minutes on the KIC, so the Knowledge and Innovation Covenant. So yeah, my role, I'm one of the coordinators within the KIC team of NWO and in a mission line in which this key technology call falls in. And let me start off by showing you this picture. This picture was taken in November 2019 during the signing ceremony of the Knowledge and Innovation Covenant for the years 2020-2023. And the persons you see here next to two ministers, Minister van Engelshoven of the Ministry of Science Education and State Secretary Mona Keizer of Economic Affairs, with representatives of other parties, companies, top sectors, knowledge institutes, among which also NWO, and they concluded there a covenant for the next 4 years in which they promised to invest, so all the organizations together, more than 1 billion each year on the new mission-driven top sector and innovation policy. So and I will take you in the next slides what efforts we do connected to research. The Knowledge and Innovation Covenants have been there since 2012. It was then in the framework of the top sector policy. And we've had a few changes for this KIC. The top sectors are still there, but they play a different role now. So we have deviations from earlier KICs, where it used to be top sector agendas. Each top sector defined its own agenda. The KIC is now based on mission agendas or knowledge and innovation agendas. And where these top sector agendas were then the basis for many different programs, and we counted over 60 in former KICs at NWO, we have organized it for the next years in 4 instrument lines. Some other deviations, where it used to be 2-year period, the KIC was now concluded for 4 years. And it used to be actually the C stood for contract and is now more a covenant. So what's the aim of the KIC? Vera discussed it already a little bit, but with the KIC, NWO wants to contribute to societal economical challenges by doing excellent, by having done excellent research, and to foster economic opportunities connected to the societal challenges. So the NWO contribution is aimed at, of course, I would say, groundbreaking scientific research, as we always do, but now with a socio-economic impact. There is a strong commitment of private partners requested, and projects should be a collaboration in a knowledge chain. Finally, there's a focus on, well, focused topics and mass, and therefore thematic choices are being made. So now from the KIC to the KIAs. The KIA stand for Knowledge and Innovation Agenda. So we've had 9 top sectors, they're still there. But now we have, instead of 9 agendas, we have 6 mission-driven agendas. And I have listed them here. So the first 4 are aimed at societal challenges: energy transition, sustainability, health and care, agriculture, water and food, and security. And this list is completed by the key technologies. That's what you're here for, and public earning capacity. NWO contributes to these agendas with 4 funding instruments. I already announced that. And I want to take you shortly through these 4 lines, 4 main lines. So the first line is the mission line. Actually, this is where this KIC, this key technologies calls falls into. There's annually 55 million budget for all these calls, 6 to 12 per year, which is 1 to 2 for each KIA. Thematic choices are being made. There is a, and you will hear all about this for this call, this key technologies calls, but a 30% co-funding requested on the project level, and all the calls in these main line are top down. So the topics are being written down in the calls, and these are then the basis for the projects. I want to go shortly through the 3 other main lines, which are more bottom-up organized. So we have demand, strategy, and practice. Demand is for partnerships between NWO and companies, and they are much larger in size than the projects in the mission line, at least 3 million euros, and with a co-funding percentage of 50%, so 1.5 million euros. It's similar to the former STW or TTW partnership program, or the FOM IPP. Even larger in the strategy main line, in which large long-term programs for 5 to 10 years are financed, and there's even a stronger or a larger part is co-funding. NWO only funds 30%. On the other side of the spectrum, the practice line, which is coordinated by SIA. So that's for the universities of applied sciences mainly, and they fund more innovation networks, regional and SME collaborations. So, well, the next picture, where you can place the KIC program in the whole NWO instrumentarium. It's one of the 5 main lines, highly connected together with the Dutch research agenda towards societal impact. And in the KIC, The budget is about 100 million euro each year, which is 1/10 of the total, approximately 1/10 of the total NWO budget. Talking about budgets, in this slide I depicted the total. You can see here the 4 main lines. The mission line knows a division of the budget of 55 million for each KIA. So you will recognize also the key technologies KIA here with the 11 million this year that's available for this call. Likewise, the amounts are available for the other KIAs in most of the time more than 1 call per KIA. The other headlines, they do not have a division over the KIAs, and they will be the money will be spent depending on what's being applied for in these main lines. The details on this you can read, of course, on our website. Here, an overview of the calls that are open and will still be opened in 2020 for your reference. So if you're interested, not only in the key technologies calls, there are more calls open. And I want to finalize my talk by saying that many information you can find on our website. And if you have questions, it was already announced, please ask them in the chat and we can answer them later on. Thank you for your attention. I think I'll hand over the mic to Vera again. So
yes, thank you, Maarten. You will get back into the meeting when we handle the questions, and that will be after Bram's talk about the call. So let me give the word to Bram Borkent. I will, together with Bram, organize all practical aspects of this call. And Bram will now discuss the call in a little bit more detail in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Thanks, Vera. Indeed, my name is Bram Borkent, and together with Vera, I'm the project manager of this call. The call Key Technologies. I will now guide you through the main elements of this call, the essential elements of this call in just a few minutes' time. So the objective of this call is to fund fundamental and application-oriented research within the framework of the key technologies, with the aim to strengthen the economic opportunities in the Netherlands and to have to make societal impact. This objective, please, on the next slide, we can see this objective, and I'd like to take you through these main elements. There it is, the objective of the call. So once more, it's to fund fundamental and application-oriented scientific research into technological breakthroughs, to create economic opportunities for the Netherlands, and to contribute to solving societal challenges. Yes, so the first element of this objective is to fund fundamental and application-oriented research. That means that we are aiming for low TRL research done by applicants who are employed by universities, university medical centers, and all the other usual NWO organizations. But this time also universities of applied sciences. This is quite special about this call, that they can also apply as main applicant or as co-applicant. Projects can focus, of course, on societal challenges, but they can also choose to focus on making scientific impact. So if you have a rather fundamental scientific research question, this could perfectly fit within this goal, because scientific impact is one of these criteria that will be taken into account. Projects have a size between 750 to 2500K. So this is the project size that you can apply for. So the scope of the call is, as we all know, is key technologies. But what does a key technology mean? A key technology is a technology that makes a groundbreaking innovation possible, an innovation in a product, a process, or a service. And it has, almost by definition, a broad applicability and scope. So it's not a technology for a single product or a single innovation, but it's really broadly applicable. The key technologies are elaborated in the innovation agenda called the KIC Key Technologies. And this innovation agenda will be the starting point for assessing whether the project proposal that you submit fits or not. The TKI will coordinate this assessment, and this will be further explained after the break by Herma. And I propose that all the questions related to this aspect, that you keep them for after the break. So the call is about creating economic opportunities with societal impact. Economic opportunities also implies that there is public-private collaboration, and that's what we also demand. We require, there are at least 2 co-funding organizations required, and the co-funding percentage is 30%. 30% of the project budget. This can come half from private sources, and half of it should come in cash. So you can make yourself all kinds of creative constructions, but at least these are the boundary conditions that should be met. Also, to further stimulate the creation of economic opportunities, at least 5% of the project budget should be used for valorization activities or knowledge utilization. This really can be used for all kinds of activities that stimulate that. So societal impact, it has been said already often. Societal impact is very important within the whole framework of the KIC, so also for this program. So instead of focusing on scientific impact, you could also focus on societal impact or a combination of both. And to help you thinking about societal impact, we ask you to follow the impact outlook approach. Again, after the break, there will be more explained about this approach, what it is, what it means, how you can use it. But this impact outlook approach in one sentence is basically a strategy that helps you to monitor or discover opportunities for knowledge utilization during all phases of the project. Again, if you have questions about this specific aspect, I suggest that you keep them for after the break, because Roald, our colleague, will explain in much more detail what we mean with this impact outlook approach. Okay, so these are the 4 essential elements: fundamental and application-oriented research, key technologies, economic opportunities, and solving or making societal impact. Having said that, we offer a rich palette of opportunities to make you or to allow you to make the best proposal. There are many budget modules that you can use for involving personnel of various kinds, investments or budget for international collaboration. Many things are possible. As I said, collaboration with universities of applied science is encouraged. We also like you to think about involving human capital or learning communities, or to connect to all kinds of existing initiatives, because for innovation, yeah, human capital is very important. Then there are, for example, possibilities to make use of industrial doctorates, societal doctorates, and are options for international collaboration. It is too much for me to go into detail right now on these aspects, but we want to say, please choose the elements that fit your proposal best and that make you allowed to really prepare the best project that is possible. Having said that, I think we go to the next stage, and that is to take some questions from the chat.
Yes, so we will have time to answer some questions now, so please just send them in. I will be in connection with the chat, and we'll get them in, so we can discuss with Maarten and Bram now what the questions are that are coming in. And let me wait for a seat and measure the correct distance, of course. Very good. So, yes, so I saw that most of the questions were really about the call, so let's go into that a bit. So I saw one question that was about the TO2 part, whether they can be part of an application as a co-applicant or as an applicant. And this is of course a very detailed thing, but of course very important. So TO2 is typically like TNO, another like research institute. And what is decided in this call is that TO2 can be co-financer but not applicant. So that is the choice we made there. Let me see if there's any more questions. Please send them in, because I'm looking at Tycho. Do we have some? No. It's about foreign co-financing, whether foreign companies can be, someone is fixing this for me, which is very nice. So this is whether foreign companies can be co-financers in this call. Is that possible, Bram?
Yes, perfectly fine to involve foreign companies. I mean, the rule is that it should be, I mean, you can have public organizations or private organizations. We don't have any boundaries there in terms of geography. Yeah,
right. Only when there are serious sanctions against, then maybe not. Okay, but in principle, this is allowed in this call, and it's important that that you make the strongest consortium possible and get all the parts of the knowledge chain involved in your proposal. And if that is with companies from outside the Netherlands, that could be perfectly fine. So next question that I see, to what extent is the KIA differing from the old ENW PPS in terms of procedure? So I know that Bram is quite involved in, or has been quite involved in the old ANW, ENW PPS. So what can you elaborate on that a bit?
In terms of procedure, well, this is, let's say what we have here is an interview. Perhaps that's not too common for some people in the past, at least in the physics discipline. Interviews for this type of research was not always usual, but it is an aspect in this call. And for the rest, I think we already quite followed most of the procedural steps already in our ENV PPS
Yes.
fund.
Yeah, maybe the new one of the new things is that now it should be fitting within the KIA Sleuteltechnologieën, or key technologies, which makes it a little bit different, but not so much, I guess. Then a question from Inge Volman. For the public-private partnership, can this also be with an international partner, or should they be Dutch? And that is probably something about the partnerships. Do you happen to know that, Maarten?
I think it might be a similar question to one of the former questions. So yes, it is possible also in the partnership program. So that's the second mainline demand. I think that the one that the question asks is alluding on. It's also possible there to have a foreign company. Yes, so it's no restriction that the company should be Dutch.
Very good. And then we have a question on the scientific and societal impact, which is probably also one of the things that will be discussed by Roald later in this meeting, but it's also important to stress. So what if the main focus is on scientific impact and less on societal impact?
No, it's both. We have, let's say, 3 assessment criteria for this call, and let's say one of the criteria is scientific and/or societal impact. They are both important. You can choose, let's say, a focus on scientific impact and explain why you choose that, but still it's important to reflect on possibilities for societal impact if you choose that route. You can also choose, let's say, in your proposal to really focus on making a societal impact and focus on this type of impact. Or you can choose a combination of both. And it's the impact strategy, let's say, that is the basis for the assessment.
Yes. Right, and I think also here it's very important that one is not better than the other. They're different, and they will be assessed a little different.
Exactly, important point. Yeah.
Yes, so it's most important to choose the strategy that fits your proposal best, and then that is in principle the best strategy there. So, and then a final question, I think, I'm looking at Tycho, yes, final question. What is meant by low TRL, from Martijn Hek?
Yeah, well, low TRL is I mean, this is NWO, so by definition, we are at a low TRL level. So mostly, usually we fund 1, 2, 3 TRL level research. In this call, you could even go to 4, but that's about it. That's where we draw the line.
Yes, so and TRL is a technology readiness level. And I think that the low TRL means that research until a lab type of demonstrator can be funded within this scope. But if you go to a higher technology readiness level, it should be funded by other sources. Right, so I think we're through with all the questions. So we will have a very short break before we go and look at Herma's presentation and Roald's presentation. And please keep on putting your questions in the chat, and we will get back with another block of questions by the end of this session. For now, thank you, and grab a nice cup of coffee if you like, and I'll see you back in 5 minutes. And we're back. I hope you all got a nice drink from your own kitchen fridge, I guess. We will be listening next to Herma van Kranenburg. She will be presenting from home due to COVID-related circumstances. She's fine, but let's. So she is sitting at home, and we will try to make a connection with her. And I see that we already have a screen shared. Herma, can you say something?
Yes, hello. Here I
Yes.
am. Can you
We're
hear
all
me?
good, I see. So please tell us about the appropriateness statement that the KIA will assess.
Okay, thank you very much, Vera, and thank you for inviting me as a representative of the KIA Sleuteltechnologieën to present this to you. NWO has set up a fabulous call in this enabling technologies field. And one of the assessments they have made part of the call is the fit to the KIA actually. And it's called appropriateness, very hard to pronounce, I think, but it's about fitting your proposal to the key elements as mentioned in the KIA document. In the call for proposals brochure published on the financing page of NWO, you can read what the 8 main categories are that we will test your proposal against. These 8 categories are mentioned here as well. We have the chemical technologies, digital technologies, engineering and fabrication technologies, photonics and light, advanced materials, quantum, life sciences, and nanotechnologies. These 8 main categories all have subcategories as well. You can find in the call for proposals brochure a reference to the TNO report with the number 4. And that report is only available in Dutch as far as I know. And the title is De potentiële bijdrage van technologie aan maatschappelijke uitdagingen. So this is actually a report that gives a nice description per main category and lists also the subcategories. So NWO has provided you on their financing page with a form, appropriateness, and this form will ask you to click check a box of which category your proposal has the best fit with. This form will be assessed by experts from involved top sectors in the core team KIA Sleuteltechnologieën, Sleuteltechnologie Key Enabling Technologies. And that means, sorry to correct Bram from before, the assessment is not done by TKI HTSM. The assessment is really done from a multidisciplinary team with representatives from all the top sectors involved. And that is Dutch Digital Delta, chemical technology, life sciences and health, energy, agro and food, tuinbouw en uitgangsmaterialen. And I might even have forgotten one, but it is a very broad panel of experts. Based on the checkbox you check for stating that your proposal fits best to a certain category, we will forward your form appropriateness to the appropriate person who has enlisted with a certain expertise for a certain subcategory. Should this expert have any doubts on whether or not there is a fit, or should this expert need additional clarification from your side, then you can expect that during the period of assessment, you will get a written, probably email question asking for more clarification or whatever. And we will ask you to give your answer also in a written form. and this has to do with the procedure of NWO. Of course, it doesn't say that we can't have any face-to-face or telephone interaction about your proposal, but it has to be written down as well. Then all the communication, all the formal communication further is done between the main applicant and NWO. So except this maybe that you will be asked for clarification. Everything will go via NWO. So also the outcome of the assessment, it will be communicated to you via NWO. Now I have another slide. The appropriateness form consists of 4 main parts. First, the first part is just the specifications. What is the name and what are the contact details of the main applicant? What's the title of your proposal? To what main and subcategory of the key enabling technologies does your proposal fit best? You have to choose one. And to what knowledge and innovation question does your proposal fit best? So what's the primary fit? Should your research proposal be successful? Should your research be proposal? What knowledge and innovation question do you solve? So that's just the specs. Then there are 3 parts which are limited to either 250 or 200 words. The first, very naturally, is a summary of your research proposal. So what is the problem you are addressing, or what is the problem you will be addressing in your project proposal? And what is your contribution to the solution of this problem? Also describe your consortium and describe the impact that you envision your project proposal will have should it be successful. And I think the next speaker will give you more information on impact as well. Then the second main part is your motivation to how does your proposal fit, and why does it fit to the key enabling technology that you have chosen. State this as specifically as possible. And then the last part is your motivation with respect to the knowledge and innovation question that you have put forward. Here again, state as specifically as possible how the proposed research contributes to this question. Now in the KIA Sleuteltechnologie, the KIA Key Enabling Technologies, there's an appendix with I think maybe about 80 knowledge and innovation questions. Please see if your proposal fits to any of those. If it doesn't fit and you want to put forward a new question, that is possible. Please also provide proper argumentation for that. That's it, what I have to say.
Yes, thank you, Herma. Yes, I see that I'm in the image again. So thank you for this clear presentation. I had a feeling that before we got a lot of questions in about this procedure, and I think this really helped. It was a very clear story. And if there are any questions about this, also let us know in the chat so that we can discuss them with Herma at the end of the next talk, which will be by Roald van der Poel, and he will talk about knowledge utilization. And the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Does it work? The mic? Okay. Thanks very much. I only got 10 minutes to elaborate a little bit on our new policy on knowledge utilization and the way it is implemented in this call. So I'll make it very brief. As you're all aware that NWO has a new policy on this knowledge utilization, and as Bram already explained, it is about not only the scientific impact, but also about the societal impact. So how do we deal with that in this specific call, given the fact that it's about enabling technologies? So what's the relevance of enabling technologies?
within the perspective of societal impact. I'll explain a little bit of that to you, and I'll try to explain how we ask you to elaborate yourself within the pre-proposals of this call. So I made two slides, just two of them, and I hope you'll understand. Perhaps you've seen somewhere along the roadshows we've had for the past year regarding this new policy on knowledge utilization, this graph, this picture. And it's meant to show that you are not within... Yeah, I have to take my mic a little bit closer to my mouth. It's very awkward. So as you can see here, you are always working on a project, and the project has its own sphere of control, the consortium or linked stakeholders. But going further along the line, there's a sphere of influence and there's a sphere of interest. And when we talk about societal impact, it means down the line, and it can take a long time. So we do not ask you to work specifically on executing societal impact in any way, but we ask you to think about it, to visionize within your project and your ideas on how your project might help solve a specific issue in society. So when you look at this picture, and we ask you, within the project proposal that we ask you to write, to have interest on both impact perspectives, the scientific impact, but also the societal impact. And you can choose where you aim your focus at. Just the scientific impact, which is always necessary, because otherwise you won't be working on the very fundamental issues regarding the key enabling technologies. But we also ask you to think about the societal impact. And you can choose where you lay your focus on. And when you've done that, then there will be a match with other projects. So we ask everyone to choose. You can also have both focus points. And when you've done that, so think about it together with your consortium partner, with the one you are working together, what the main focus of the proposal will be. And when you've done that, we will ask you to, I see that the internet connection is very unstable, but perhaps it's only at NWO, I don't know. Perhaps at your end of the line it will be okay. Now it's gone again. This second picture I've made, and trying to elaborate, because we ask you in the pre-proposal to elaborate on specific issues regarding this knowledge utilization, giving the fact that knowledge utilization, so the use of the new insights, the scientific insights you will discover within your project, will have some impact in society to some extent. We try to help you, and we ask you to visionize the way you would like to have these insights worked within society. So at least we ask you to give a perspective on long or short-term vision of how the insights and the results of your project will be used outside your project. So the scientific insights of your project and those used within your stakeholders, we call them output, how can they be used beyond your own perspective? So that's the first question we ask you. The second thing we ask you is, how do you think the insights and the results and the outputs of your project would be best used by others? So other stakeholders, and describe it in such a way that you make it clear that the very fundamental key enabling technology could be implemented by someone in a specific area or an application or service or whatever. So look beyond your own project. That's the second question we ask you. And who might benefit or who might be the one to use the insights and the results? The third thing we ask you is, how can you make sure that others will be interested in using it? So elaborate on the fact that the things you are trying to research and the results that get out of them can be seen and can be experienced by others. We call it productive interaction. So which of those productive interactions can you imagine that has to take place after a while, not at the beginning, but further along the line, because the project takes several times. And then as last one, reflect on the things that might influence the ideas or the results that you aim at. And try to think of things that could help mitigate the risks or the things that might go wrong. And you probably ask yourself, ooh, how do I do that? How can I describe in one page of an A4, within I don't know how many words, how can I describe these things? But that's the question, that's the thing with these pre-proposals. Imagine it, elaborate on it. There's not a good or wrong, but there is something that we tend to look at, that is the consequence. When you state something, is it logical that the thing that come out of it and that the results or the next step is logical? There are things that we will try to understand, and that might help you to visualize your future in terms of, okay, I work on a key enabling technology. It is not as much as making one application work, because it is stated by Bram already in the beginning. It is something that is fundamental and it's probably applicable in different types or different areas in society. But please help everyone who will read the proposal, help them to understand what the idea is on how you think that your key enabling technology might be applicated along the line, and thus how might it help solve a specific societal issue. So you are not the one who has to solve the societal issue, but please be the one that visualize and help everyone else to see how your solution, how your technology might help solve any societal impact that you envision. Okay, I think that's enough for now, because it's new and I think my time's up. So who is next within this great webinar? Vera?
Yes.
There she is. There she is.
Thank you, Roald, for this nice contribution. And next we have another question round. So actually Roald should be there as well. Sorry, Roald, you're not done yet. So we will do another question round, and questions to Herma and Roald are, we will try to discuss most of them. And Bram will also come on stage to, we will also still make some time for some generic call questions, because there were quite some still left. So we will try to make some time for that as well. Very good. Let's put the chairs in there. Oh.
Let's make some noise.
Yes. Very good. So first, let me first go into, let's get a mic for Bram, otherwise this contribution will be lost for sure. So first I would like to go into one of the specific knowledge utilization new things that are in the call. And I think Herma might also have something to say about that, but let me start with Roald. And this is about the role of human capital and learning communities. So I see some participants that don't really know what it is, what they have to think with learning communities and human capital. So could you elaborate a little on that?
Okay, I will. As we try to stimulate thinking about societal impact, we also try to influence or to try to get people think about the human capital. What is needed for others to use new technologies? What is needed in terms of procedures, processes, collaboration, all other issues that are not really technology, but what is needed to use the technology among others and among people in society. So we try to stimulate that. And learning communities are communities that are already there, or they have to be stated or initiated in where all types of people and organizations work together and try to get an eye on what is needed to be prepared for the next step in society and to use also these new technologies. So if anyone elaborates on that, that is great.
Yeah, so it's really about utilization of knowledge through the people that are working in here and to make networks and all these type of things. And Bram, within this scope, the applicants can actually apply for funding for that, right? So
yeah, it's important to describe, let's say, what or how the project uses aspects of human capital or aspects of learning communities, or how you connect to those existing initiatives. And that will, that's one of the many sub-aspects that is taken into account in assessing projects.
Yes, thank you. And Herma, do you have anything to add on this?
No, because I think it's not part of the appropriateness check.
You're
Wait
muted.
a minute. No, you're not muted. I think we just don't hear you in the studio. Can you start again?
Yes, I think it has nothing to do with the fit to the key technologies, because it's not one of the things we are checking on, and it's not one of the things mentioned in the appropriateness form.
No.
So I assume it is either of the pre-proposal or the full proposal phase.
Yeah, it will be in both, but for sure in the pre-proposal, which is online now, you will find this. And for the
So at the most,
this is not an important factor.
No, at the most, it can be part of the description of the consortium, I guess.
Yes, thank you. And then to go a bit further, there's a question on the appropriateness statement, which is partly for you, but maybe also for me and Bram. It is about the question which consortium will be formed to solve the problem in the appropriateness statement. And Joanna Kopotowska asks, how far should this consortium be formalized at the time of sending in the appropriateness statement? So can there still be parties that are that might be part of the consortium in there or not? So let me first ask Herma.
Well, I can imagine that if you have if you claim to do groundbreaking research at a certain subcategory of key enabling technologies, and one of the most obvious parties is missing there, then I can imagine you will get questions on that. But as such, for the appropriateness, it is not a hard criterion that the consortium is fixed already or finalized.
No, exactly. And support letters are also not asked yet. So in the appropriateness statement, you will not have to hand in support letters or anything. And even in the pre-proposal, this is not necessary yet. So for the full commitment, is that right, Bram? You will only need that for the full proposals.
Exactly.
Yes, so that...
also there, you need a support letter for the full proposal. So that is a sort of formalization, but it's not, let's say it's not the consortium agreement. That will only be done when the project is granted.
Yes, right. So you can still be in the last stages of building a consortium when you send in the appropriateness statement. And then a question that is also, I think, interesting for Bram, and that is about guidelines for interdisciplinary collaboration. So is it mandatory to involve researchers from humanities and social sciences?
Good point. No, it's not mandatory in this call. If you read the call very well, we encourage multidisciplinary research, and with multidisciplinary research we mean really research between different disciplines, physics, computer sciences, applied technology, etc. Of course, if you really like to focus on societal impact, we also would encourage broader disciplines to take into account. But we really focus on the multidisciplinary approach.
Yes, right. And so that means that you do not have to include humanities or social sciences, but there is some place for that in proposals. So if you want to make your proposal better in some way by involving, for example, the key enabling methodologies, which are the methodologies from the social and gamma sciences, this can make a proposal, of course, stronger. So if you have a chance to involve that type of research, I think that would be interesting. Do you have something to add from knowledge utilization perspective when it comes to interdisciplinary research?
I think that everyone should ask themselves what is needed in terms of to get the technology further along the line. And when you think about interdisciplinary cooperation, think about what is needed in respect to this specific situation and specific project. So it's not meant to drag along specific other types of disciplines along the line. And if we got 5, whoa, it's better. No, it is about what is logical and what is needed to get things further along the line. So when everyone thinks about that, I think it is a question of who do we need?
Yes, exactly. And that is a more interesting way to look at it, right? To see what do you need. And basically, it's not always only the technology and the lab work that is needed to get a technology to a stage where it's usable in society.
And it has also, there's not good or wrong. It could be very well be true that you don't need anyone just to make sure that the technology is applicable. But when you think about how can other disciplines or other companies or organizations use this technology for specific applications, then it might be very interesting or perhaps even necessary to use others for the application.
Right. Yes, thank you. And now another very call-specific question from Wolfgang. It's a very interesting question because this is asking about the module that is included now in the call and in most of the KIC calls, which is the Money Follows Collaboration module. Can you tell us a bit about that, Bram?
Yes, the Money Follows Collaboration module is actually aiming for this possibility that you like to include a foreign research group. This can be done if you can demonstrate that this specific expertise is not available in the Netherlands. So that is what we ask to explain this. And if this is sufficiently explained, then you could indeed involve other research group from outside the Netherlands in your project.
Yes, exactly. And this you will need to motivate well in your application that the knowledge is not present in the Netherlands. But again, it's about building the best consortium that you can make for making the best proposal, and for this also, as long as you stay below 50% of NWO financing, we can also finance research abroad. So this might be a very interesting possibility for researchers that like to work in international networks and get stronger by working with those networks. I'm looking at Tycho if there's more. There's not. I think we got through most of them, so that's very good. If you have any last minute question, I will give you 10 last seconds.
There are also some questions asked in the Q&A. I'm not sure if Tycho has monitored that, but for instance, I see the question.
And I think
A question about are the key technologies to be seen as examples, the subcategories, are they to be seen as examples, or are they set categories to choose from? They are set categories to choose from. If you read the report of TNO, you will get an explanation of all the subcategories. They are mentioned there, and in the form, in the appropriateness form, there are tick boxes. So I'm pretty sure it's a drop-down menu. So that is a
Yes.
question. There are a couple of questions asked in the Q&A besides the chat. I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yes. So I think that's an important thing to make clear, right? That the scope of the call is in a sense limited, right? And this is a choice that is made in this instrument. So that is important. So there are really set categories where you have to be able to fit in. Right. I got another question. When does the co-funding need to be finalized? Is it in the pre-proposal?
No, it's in the full proposal. You need to submit, let's say, support letters from your co-funding organizations. And there they pledge the co-funding exactly in terms of cash or in-kind contribution. So that's for the full proposal phase.
Yes, and this gives a bit more time to formalize it. But of course, you will, in the end, need to be able to make the 30% co-financing before submitting the full proposal.
I also see a question about whether or not. Yes.
Yes.
I see a remark in the chat on the key enabling methodologies. Maybe you want to elaborate on that from the call perspective.
Yes, so the key enabling methodologies are methodologies from Gamma and social sciences, for example, that are defined. And a small part, so if this is making your proposal stronger, you can also include researchers that are developing these key enabling methodologies. And do you want to say something else about this, Roald? No, not really. I think this is an interesting chance, and I think it's also clear that in a lot of instruments, we see more and more of this interdisciplinary work. It would be interesting to see what comes in this call, because I think in the very technological calls, it is still very interesting to include different disciplines. I see another question. Is the expertise not available rule also applicable to countries within a bilateral agreement, for example, Norway or Luxembourg? So this is referring to the money follows collaboration module. Bram, do you happen to know this?
Well, not out of the top of my head. I think indeed I recall something from these bilateral agreements that this is not
yes, then
part of the...
Then it's not mandatory, yes. Yes, and then we have another question from Sjoerd Mentink. Will there be a certain distribution of granted projects across the key technologies? I think this is an interesting question. So will we fund a specific amount of the money to a certain technology?
In principle, there is no rule for that. So no, there is not a distribution in our mind. But we assume that it will be distributed as accordingly to relative to the distribution of applicants. Let's say that is what you might expect.
Yes, exactly. So there's no sub-calls in the call where we will have a fixed amount of money for nanotechnology and a fixed amount of money for another specific technology. So really, the procedure will be the same for all proposals, and this means that there's
exactly what comes out of it. We have to see, and then later on we will evaluate what is the outcome and how the distribution was, and perhaps then we take additional other measures. But that's only after many.
Yes, and
many
this is of course also one of the reasons to give the applicants the choice between more societal or scientific impact, because of course these technologies are in different stages. So in the assessment procedure, this will not be a criterion, and this is, I think, important to note. So that so that all technologies have the same chances, and the best proposals can be funded in the end. So I think we got through most of the questions. If we haven't answered one of your questions, we will get back to you by email. Maybe. So sometimes we don't do it because it's a very specific question that might not be interesting to everyone who is listening. So we will get back to you in that case. And now it's time for me to start closing this session. I think we're in time even, so that's very nice. We're even a bit early, so we can. That never happens, right? So that's very good. And we will, to close the session, we will send you by email. So that was also one of the questions. We will send by email the information about this meeting. So we will publish the slides, but also the film footage from this session to the program page, and we will send all of you a link to that. We will send a link where you can download all the slides of this session. And we will send around a questionnaire, because of course for NWO it's also quite new to organize these type of meetings, so we are very interested to know what you think about this and whether this was informative to you. I hope you all have a good evening. I will be very happy to see all the proposals come in, and if you have any questions, then you can either contact me or you can contact Bram, and we will try to answer your questions personally at a later stage. So thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you.